As more reactions trail the release of the 82 Chibok girls, federal government restates commitments to ensure the release of all abducted persons. Oil magnate and former gubernatorial candidate arrested for alleged theft of petroleum products. These and more on Panorama, coming to you from Lagos Network Center. I am Ademola Adeoye. We shall be back shortly. Stay with us. Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima has urged parents of Chibok school girls whose daughters are still in captivity to keep hope alive as government is working towards their release. It was in reaction to the news of the release of the 82 more girls at Government House in Maiduguri. Mohammed Ibrahim reports.
Shettima, while briefing the press at the Government House Maiduguri, said President Buhari has Nigeria at heart and works round the clock to address national problems as seen in successful freedom of the Chibok girls.
The freedom of these girls has renewed our hope and strengthened our faith in the commitment and capacity of the Buhari administration to continuously work towards the freedom of our remaining daughters that are still in captivity. With very strong empathy, I urge parents whose daughters are not part of those free suffer to keep their hopes alive and remain strong and prayerful.
The governor noted with gratitude that it is an extraordinary record of achievement for the present administration alongside international and local humanitarian partners who were able to negotiate the release of the girls at a time when the battle against the insurgents is at its peak. The Borno State government, he went on, will always be committed in every way necessary to partner the federal government in full rehabilitation and education of the freed girls, which has renewed hope and strength towards freedom of the remaining girls in captivity. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Sheriff's leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has commended the Buhari administration and all those involved in the release of the 82 abducted Chibok girls. This was during a media briefing in Abuja. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Binin Kudu reports.
Karo Ojubo said there is cause for all Nigerians to celebrate the release of the girls. While pledging continued partnership and advice to end the insurgency, the Sharif leadership of the party described as wise the decision of the federal government to negotiate with the Boko Haram insurgents in order to release the Chibok girls.
In this country today, there is cause for happiness and for jubilation over the release of the 82 Chibok girls. The PDP welcomes it. The PDP congratulates Mr. President, the armed forces, who have worked assiduously for the success of the release of the Chibok girls.
The PDP called on all Nigerians to continue to support the Buhari administration in efforts to curb the insurgency in the country. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA.
In the meantime, the federal government has described as indecent, inhuman, and ill-timed the statement credited to a faction of the PDP criticizing the process that led to the release of the 82 Chibok girls. In a statement, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says it is insensitive for any individual or organization account of politics on ground of politics to dampen the universal joy that has greeted the release of the 82 girls, the highest numbers so far freed since their unfortunate abduction under the watch of the PDP over 3 years ago.
With the safe return of the abducted girls, the minister noted that President Buhari, in his inaugural address, said his administration cannot claim to have defeated Boko Haram without rescuing the Chibok girls, and that the government will do all it can to rescue them alive. Therefore, if that includes swapping some Boko Haram elements for the girls, so be it. He cited similar situations where the United States engaged in negotiation with the Taliban to the exchange of 5 Taliban fighters for a U.S. Army sergeant in 2014, and Israel's release of 1,027 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for 1 Israeli soldier in 2011. Lai Mohammed maintained that a lot of factors come into play when a nation has to decide whether or not to engage in a prisoner-hostage swap. None, however, supersedes the sanctity attached to human life and the consideration for the pains of the loved ones of those involved. He said it is clear that the kind of disdain for human life which the PDP exhibited in its incautious statement is the same reason the girls were kidnapped in the first instance, and for which the then PDP-controlled federal government took what seems an eternity before even acknowledging the abduction, thereby losing critical time for the rescue. The minister said, quote, "Since the PDP failed, as it did in everything to rescue even one of the Chibok girls, the party should hold its peace while this administration continues to seek the release of all the abducted girls using every means at its disposal, in addition to working assiduously to end all Boko Haram hostilities." End of quote.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has described the release of 82 Chibok girls after nearly 3 years in Boko Haram captivity as a pleasant second anniversary gift to the people of Nigeria. The president, who formally received the girls at his residence, reassured the nation that no effort will be spared in ensuring that all other Nigerians who have been abducted will safely regain their freedom. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It was an emotional sight to behold as the 82 Chibok girls rescued from Boko Haram after painstaking negotiations arrived at the official residence of President Muhammadu Buhari. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, who formally presented the girls, attributed the major breakthrough to the unprecedented support, direction and guidance to the nation's military by the Nigerian leader.
Your Excellency, before you now, I present the 82 Chibok girls to you, Your Excellency.
The highly elated President Buhari was full of appreciation to the security agencies and all those who contributed in securing the release of the girls.
This is a very significant day for me and for the country, and more especially to our parents for surviving the torture, as it were, waiting for you day in and day out.
The federal government, he promised, will take adequate care of their health, education, security, and general well-being.
The federal government will fulfill on its promises to look after you, to continue your education.
The president was emphatic that no human being should go through this kind of ordeal and therefore reaffirmed the commitment of his administration towards safeguarding the security of all Nigerians.
I am very pleased to have personally met you, and I congratulate you, especially your parents. It's the only way out of the real feeling of what you want to.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, told NTA News that the Boko Haram chapter will not be declared closed until all those in his custody regain their freedom.
For these 82 girls, we reached agreement to free some of their own captives, but the agreement goes far beyond this. What we are doing also includes negotiation to ensure that this suicide bombing also stops. So it's part of the agreement. We are looking at a comprehensive peace agreement. And don't forget that these people are largely Nigerians too, and we must learn to work together and learn to live in peace.
Over 100 Chibok girls have now regained their freedom since the renewed onslaught against Boko Haram by the Buhari administration. In the meantime, the president has granted audience to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, presiding officers of the National Assembly, and the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar of Zamfara State, on a farewell visit as he departs for medical follow-up in the United Kingdom. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The Italian parliament has commended President Muhammadu Buhari over the release of the 82 more kidnapped Chibok girls last week. The president of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, Laura Boldrin, conveys the commendation of the Italian legislature when she visited Speaker House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara.
The 15-man delegation from the Italian parliament, who were on a 3-day working visit to Nigeria, met with the leadership of the House of Representatives. At the meeting, the two parliaments stressed the need to intensify a global fight against terrorism, human trafficking, and unemployment.
That Italy stands at Nigeria's side in its anti-terrorism effort. We do appreciate the effort you are doing, and we really believe that since terrorism is a threat for the entire world, we have to join forces in this regard.
The investing public and the firms in Italy take advantage of the increasing opportunity that our transparency and the fight against corruption is offering.
And from the National Assembly, the Speaker led them to the internally displaced persons camp in New Kuchingoro, Abuja, where the president of the Italian Chamber of Deputies, Laura Boldrini, promised to provide water facilities to the camp.
I would like you to know that we are available to take care of the expenses of a new pump. So you can at least get that water which is so needed and so important for you.
There are about 400 plus children altogether. They are our tomorrow's leaders. And I want the president of the Chambers of Deputies to know that what you see here today highlights the problem. That this is one of the smallest IDP camps that we have in the nation.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara also called on international organizations that made promises to assist internally displaced persons in Nigeria to redeem their pledges. The delegation were conducted around the camp, housing 1,540 internally displaced persons. From New Kuchingoro, Abuja, Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
We now move on to other stories. Acting President Professor Yemi Osinbajo says a robust partnership between government and the private sector remains the remedy for solving the ineffectiveness in governance. The acting president, who stated this at the 3rd Presidential Quarterly Forum in Abuja, says government will further demonstrate its commitment by making itself accessible for the exchange of ideas. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Presentations at this 3rd Presidential Quarterly Business Forum focused on the creative sector and the digital economy. Of need is the critical diagnosis of the challenges in the development of the Nigerian economy, especially in these two sectors. As unanimously observed by the acting president and some of the participants, the challenge remains in the effective implementation of ideas outlined as solutions in the economic recovery and growth plan. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo says the partnership between the policy makers and the players is the best solution.
Now, there is expertise within the private sector. Policymakers are here, and policymakers are supposed to be able to understand what exactly it is that we need to do to make that critical change. I think that one of the critical things for us is how to ensure that we are getting all of what we need from the private sector players, especially those who have been very successful in developing policy and in implementing policy.
Explaining the reason the digital economy is crucial to the attainment of this, Acting President Osinbajo says the digital technology creates platform for prompt results. An example of this, he says, is in achieving the registration of business with the Corporate Affairs Commission within 48 hours and development in other sectors.
The only way to make government work is if the private sector invests in government. And by invest, I don't mean putting your money into government, but more investing in terms of your time, attention, and these kinds of partnerships that we're trying to build here.
For the creative industry, it is good news as Minister of Information and Culture reels out the various plans that would further accelerate the growth of the sector.
And our new architecture is that a film is released, should first go to cinema houses, then digital video on demand, then pay TV, and finally the digital terrestrial television. We are looking to expand the number of cinemas we have from the mere 30 or so to at least 100 multiplexes within the next few years.
Further interactions elicited more information from the Ministers of Budget and National Planning, Communications, and Industry, Trade and Investment.
We want to ensure that the growth is inclusive.
By 2020, this country will be one of the 20 largest economies in the world, which will enable us to realize our full economic and social potentials.
We must not deny our people the opportunity to compete in this global era we've entered.
The acting president has promised that government will be open to all comers and be as close as possible to all those who are willing to support government in achieving these objectives. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jude Onifade, NT News.
You're still watching Panorama, coming to you from Lagos Network Center. We'll now take a break for some messages. The program continues shortly. Stay with us.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You're welcome back. You're still on to Panorama, coming to you from Lagos. The former gubernatorial candidate in Anambra State, an oil magnate, Ifeanyi Ubah, was last Friday arrested by the Department of State Security Services over alleged theft of petroleum products stored in his tank farm by the NNPC. The value of the product taken without approval by the NNPC is put at over 11 billion naira. Viera Chunwoba reports.
Trouble began on the 17th of March when the NNPC revealed that about 100 million liters of premium motor spirit stored at the Capital Oil and Gas Depot and over 30 million liters at MRS Limited Depot, all in Apapa area of Lagos, were not found and could not be accessed. NNPC had viewed the action of both companies as infractions and a clear violation of existing contract, which prohibited firms from tampering with volumes in their custody without express permission of the corporation. The companies were called to explain why and given the two options to either return the full volume of what was stored in their depots liter to liter or pay the full volume of products taken without approval. While MRS paid the 30 million liters that vanished from its depot, Ifeanyi Ubah did not. He was alleged to have described the theft against his company as mischievous and misleading. NNPC, in its desperation to recover what was stolen from the corporation, alerted the Directorate of State Security Services, the EFCC, and relevant committees of the National Assembly with oversight functions on the downstream operation. Ifeanyi Ubah, whose arrest was disclosed in a statement by the DSS and signed by Tony Ukwiyi last Friday after many weeks of investigation, said Ubah's actions amounted to economic sabotage with capacity to impact negatively on the nation's economy. They include stealing, diversion, and illegal sale of petroleum petroleum products valued at 11 billion naira. The DSS also alleged that Oba engaged in other activities inimical to national security and public order. Among them are the alleged inciting of members of Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association, a critical player in the downstream subsector, to refuse and stop lifting petroleum products. The DSS has assured Nigerians that the service will collaborate with agencies to check mischievous activities of groups and individuals and will bring them to book. The DSS will prosecute Ifeanyi. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says getting children involved in the fight against corruption by tapping into their creative abilities will help build a bright future for the children. This was demonstrated at the Literary Arts and Painting Initiative, where the children were encouraged to express their condemnation of corruption in literary terms in Lagos. Abolore Ogbara has the details.
50 students selected from different schools in Lagos, both public and private, were given the opportunity to showcase their talent in paintings, literary arts, and mixed media competitions. The acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, said the paintings illustrated the different faces of corruption and the new Nigeria.
We want everybody to unite, to join us in the fight against corruption.
Other prominent Nigerians emphasized that with these efforts, support at grooming the Nigerian child in positive attitudes, the country will be a better nation for all.
This is our own way of preaching. It's all part of preaching, but we also like to catch them young, and also want to make adults feel ashamed of themselves when they see what is produced by these children.
What we are doing is to bring the best out of them, groom great entrepreneurs and leaders that will go through the VOTC in form of an academy to lead change in various sectors of Nigerian economy.
Some participants expressed their views on the project.
We have a chance for our voices to be heard, to let the government know that we children have a solution to all the problems that are happening right now in Nigeria.
If you want to make your country better and where you stay better, be a patriotic Nigeria.
The theme is enhance the heritage, advance the future. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
After 3.5 years of providing mechanized equipment and funding to aid intensive training of farmers in the country, officials of Fadama 3 additional financing project has embarked on a mid-term review of its activities in Lagos. The review attracted officials of the World Bank, national and state coordinators, as well as project implementation officers across the Lagos metropolis. Musa Toliat has the details.
Third National Fadama Development Project additional financing was muted by the World Bank to scale up the impact of Fadama 3 in 6 core states of the Federation, including Lagos. The objective is to enhance the production of staple crops, and Lagos State was picked for rice production. 3 years down the line, it was time to appraise the performance of the state ahead of the commencement of the second half of the third Fadama Development Project. This informed the mid-term review, which is a special mission to achieve the overall objective of the program.
The World Bank is here to assess the level of progress, to assess the challenges faced by the implementers and beneficiaries.
60% of the entire rice that is produced in Nigeria is consumed in Lagos. So you are looking at a very huge, market opportunity, and that is the area the government is looking at, that instead of concentrating in producing rice, we can begin to talk about market infrastructure.
Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Minister of Agriculture, Olaiwole Onosanya, reiterated the commitment of the state government to enhance the productivity of farmers and encourage demand-driven agricultural research and extension services.
It will help us to do better the area of marketing, the area of processing, as well as even productive infrastructure like irrigation.
By revelations from study, we have been able to increase the income of 89% of the direct beneficiaries by 40%.
We have seen a lot of progresses, development, capacity building and self-sustenance in this project.
The project development of Third National Fadama additional financing seeks to achieve 40% increase in rice yield from participating households through small and medium-scale irrigation schemes by the end of 2017. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And now to sports. Nigerian D Tigers has been drawn in Group B in the 2019 FIBA World Cup qualifiers as 31 members elected into Sport Federation in Nigeria Women's Sports.
Nigeria's beach volleyball team, comprising of 2 men and 2 women,